Good morning, fourth graders, and happy Tuesday, March 31st, 2020. It's the last day of March. Did you know that? That's a little bit crazy. It just went away. I don't know where March went. It's gone. Sitting here, you can see all of my coffee things here behind me. I'm in front of my little coffee bar and enjoying some Teacher Fuel coffee this morning. Have quite a few things that I need to work on today. Yesterday, the governor of Ohio, Mr. Mike DeWine, he made an announcement that he was extending the school closures to May 1st. Okay, so that means about 4 more weeks of learning from home and not coming to school each day. So that made me pretty sad. I'm not gonna lie. I miss you guys all a lot, and made me need to start thinking through, what are our next steps going to be for learning. So I was working on some things yesterday, and I'm meeting with the 4th grade teachers today on our computers. We're gonna have a little meeting and go over what that's going to look like for the next few weeks for you guys. So sometime later this week, I'll get all of that out to you so that you'll have a better idea of what's coming up. Okay? All right. Here is, first of all, another announcement. I've been writing down each day when I check MobyMax, and I'm looking for a couple of things. Number one, I'm looking to see that you are spending time on MobyMax and that you're doing the language lesson, and if you're doing a reading one on there and you're doing your fact fluency. I can see the minutes that you're spending on there, so I get on there to see that. And then I'm also checking fact fluency to check our mastery and see if we have any more certificates to hand out to people for mastering different operations in their fact fluency. So I counted up this morning, we've had 12 certificates earned just over this time period of working from home. So that's really, really great. I want you guys to keep it up. I know some of you are like really, really close. I feel like there's a couple in the 90% on some of the operations. So work hard, master those facts. That would be really cool if we meet our goals. Even while we're working from home, we can get that done. All right, here is your math problem of the day. I gave you a number here, 6-digit number, and one of those numbers is underlined, that 9 right there. So there's 3 things that I want you to do with this number. First, I want you to tell me what is the word form of this whole number. It's in standard form right now, but think through if you were reading what that number is. Think through the words that you would say and what the word form would be to write it out. Tell me what the value of that 9 is. How much is the 9 worth in the place that it's in? And then round the number to the underlined 9 there if you're rounding it to that place. Okay? I'll put this in your math problem of the day. And our quote for March 31st is, this is a good one. This is very appropriate for this time, and it has a fun little picture. See that picture on there? Life is like a roller coaster with all its ups and downs. Have you kind of felt like you're on a roller coaster lately? Some ups and some downs going on, different changes that are made, decisions that are made. We've had to kind of learn a new routine and a new way of learning things lately. All right, we're gonna read another chapter of Frindle. I hope you liked that yesterday when we started it. And this second chapter is about a teacher at the school. And actually, we might not get through the whole chapter here today. We'll read a couple parts. Something that I think the author of this book does a really good job. He uses some really great descriptive words in describing the characters. There's actually a little picture in this chapter to go along with Mrs. Granger, who is what this chapter is about. But before I show you the picture, just listen to his words. You can really see in your mind the type of person Mrs. Granger is just from the author's words. Fifth grade was different. That was the year to get ready for middle school. Fifth grade meant passing classes. It meant no morning recess. It meant real letter grades on your report cards. But most of all, it meant Mrs. Granger. There were about 150 kids in fifth grade, and there were 7 fifth grade teachers, 2 math, 2 science, 2 social studies, but only 1 language arts teacher. In language arts, Mrs. Granger had a monopoly and a reputation. Mrs. Granger lived alone in a tidy little house in the older part of town. She drove an old, pale blue car to school every morning, rain or shine, snow or sleet, hail or wind. She had a perfect attendance record that stretched back farther than anyone could remember. Her hair was almost white, swept away from her face and up into something like a nest on the back of her head. Unlike some of the younger women teachers, she never wore pants to school. She had 2 skirt and jacket outfits, her gray uniform and her blue uniform, which she always wore over a white shirt with a little cameo pin at the neck. And Mrs. Granger was one of those people who never sweats. It had to be over 90 degrees before she even took off her jacket. She was small, as teachers go. There were even some 5th graders who were taller. But Mrs. Granger seemed like a giant. It was her eyes that did it. They were dark gray, and if she turned them on full power, they could make you feel like a speck of dust. Her eyes could twinkle and laugh too, and kids said she could crack really funny jokes. But it wasn't the jokes that made her famous. Everyone was sure that Mrs. Granger had X-ray vision. Don't even think about chewing a piece of gum within 50 feet of her. If you did, Mrs. Granger would see you and catch you and make you stick the gum onto a bright yellow index card. Then she would safety pin the card to the front of your shirt, and you'd have to wear it for the rest of the school day. After that, you had to take it home and have your mom or dad sign the card and bring it back to Mrs. Granger the next day. And it didn't matter to Mrs. Granger if you weren't in 5th grade, because the way she saw it, sooner or later, you would be. All the kids at Lincoln Elementary School knew that at the end of the line, 5th grade, Mrs. Granger would be the one grading their spelling tests and their reading tests, and worst of all, their vocabulary tests, week after week, month after month. Every language arts teacher in the world enjoys making kids use the dictionary. Check your spelling. Check that definition. Check those syllable breaks. But Mrs. Granger didn't just enjoy the dictionary. She loved the dictionary, almost worshipped it. Her weekly vocabulary list was 35 words long, sometimes longer. As if that wasn't bad enough, there was a word for the day on the blackboard every morning. If you gave yourself a day off and didn't write one down and look it up and learn the definition, sooner or later, Mrs. Granger would find out. And then, just for you, there would be 2 words for the day for a whole week. Mrs. Granger kept a full set of 30 dictionaries on a shelf at the back of the room. But her pride and joy was one of those huge dictionaries with every word in the universe in it, the kind of book it takes 2 kids to carry. It sat on its own little table at the front of her classroom, sort of like the altar at the front of a church. Every graduate of Lincoln Elementary School for the past 35 years could remember standing at that table, listening to Mrs. Granger's battle cry. Look it up! That's why we have the dictionary. Even before the school year started, when it was still the summer before 5th grade for Nick and his friends, Mrs. Granger was already busy. Every parent of every new 5th grader got a letter from her. And we'll stop right there. Okay, so do you have a good picture in your mind of what Mrs. Granger is like? So here's the picture in the book. It says Mrs. Granger loved the dictionary. See if this is what you imagined. See her white hair pressed back and her suit that she has on sitting behind her desk. And there's even dictionaries here in the picture too. Okay, so we'll pick up from there tomorrow. And, oops, finish that chapter. All right, get all your things done today that you need to get done, and then have some fun. Talk to you later. Bye.